Sorry for late. Good evening. I am Pompey Ghosh. Welcome all to this webinar, Biodiversity 24. Today we have with us two resource persons for two different lectures. So it is for 2 hours webinar. Today there is no question answer session for limitation of time. Before starting today's first session, I have to announce you that the last date of submission of paper along with abstract extended up to 28 February 2021 for the 3-day conference which will be held on March. So 1 week remains for paper submission. Who are interested, please send their abstract along with paper within stipulated time and perfect performance. Today, for the first session, we have with us Dr. M. Gopi from Department of Plant Biology and Plant Biotechnology, Guru Nanak College, Chennai. His topic of lecture is plant goals. Hope all of you enjoy the webinar and will be enriched with knowledge. I am glad to welcome our secretary of this webinar series, Dr. Debabrata Das. Dr. Das, please conduct the rest of the session accordingly.
Thank you all. Today's program is by Dr. M. Gopi. Sir's topic is plant goals, a fascinating science. Sir is Assistant Professor of the Department of Plant Biology and Biotechnology, Guru Nanak College, Autonomous, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. Sir done MPhil and PhD from Madras University. MPhil's topic is studies on the in vitro antifungal properties of bark, flower, buds and seeds from Cassia auriculata using opportunistic fungi and dermatophytic fungi. PhD topic was structural diversity and biochemical dynamics of some Indian plant galls. Sir published 13 papers, international conference attended 3, participated in social awareness program 8, national level conference and workshop 34, state level seminars 3, inter-college seminars 1. Sir is coordinator of tree census program, Tamil Nadu Forest Department. Also coordinator, editorial board, Guru Nanak Journal of Multidisciplinary Research. Sir's publication, book 1, newsletter 1, paper published 20. Sir is also head of the Department of Botany from 1st June 2080. Thank you, sir. Please start your presentation. Professor, start your presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your good introduction. Thank you very much, sir. Just a minute, sir. I will present my PPT. Just a minute. I think is it visible to everyone?
Yes,
sir.
Sir,
Is it visible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Shall I start, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Most respected secretary, sir, benevolent head of the department, vice principal, sir, and scientist, research persons, and my dear students, a pleasant good evening to one and all present here. Today I will present about the plant galls. Actually, it is a very interesting, quite interesting. That is why I am choosing this particular topic, the plant galls. It is a fascinating science. Okay, what are plant galls? So everybody know what is galls, what are plant galls. So the plant galls, it is the abnormal outgrowth on plants, it is induced by two the living organisms like insect and plants. So this is the interaction between plants and insect during the feeding and behavioral stimuli of mites and insects. Here you can see the some of the insects for your reference. So these insects, it will produce the enormous quantity of outgrowth on the plants. That is called it as plant galls. In simply, it is a tumor-like outgrowth. That is called it as plant galls. Those who are concentrating on the study of plant galls, this field is called it as cystology. Yes, it is definitely, it is a fascinating science of the parasitic insect and host plant interactions. The causative organisms. So these causative organisms, it will produce numerous plant galls on the earth. So it is divided into three distinct groups. First one, insect groups. It is again subdivided into Thysanoptera, Homoptera, Coleoptera, Hymenoptera, the last one, Diptera. Again, the mites, that is called it as Acarina, and then the smaller quantity of the fungi, mostly Ascomycetes. These organisms produce numerous quantity of plant organs and plant galls. Here you can see the some of the insects. It is the gall makers. Homoptera and then Hymenoptera. Here you can see the mites. So these are all for your reference. These are called it as gall makers. Thrips and then mites, moth, weevil, and then Diptera and then Sill. So these are all the gall makers. This is for your reference. Okay, what is plant galls? In a strict sense and then easy sentence, what is plant galls? It is a unique expression of the interaction between insect, that is animal category, as well as the plant category. Interaction between these two. So after the interaction, the morphological diversity and the architectural profile, it is beautiful, and it is very difficult to analyze the mechanism and biochemical manipulations. That is why the plant gall is a very, very fascinating science. The investigation of morphogenesis, it is a unique opportunity on par with in vitro and in vivo techniques to unravel the mysteries of normal morphogenesis. When you talk about the plant galls, we can never forget our professor, late Professor M.S. Mani. So he was the father of Indian cystology and well-renowned entomologist. So he was the very good contributor to plant galls in India. Okay, theme of insect-plant interaction. So we can again divide it into three categories: action, reaction, result. Action, what is action? That is insect impulsion, insect feeding pattern and molecular characterization. It is the action of the development of the plant galls. The next one, after the feeding behavior, so reaction from the plants, that is it will produce the metabolism, that is secondary metabolism, defense mechanism. So automatically the output is outgrowth of the gall, that is the result. The ultimate aim of galling life cycle, so it will improve the nutrition area surrounded by the insect population, and then it will useful for the physical protection. The last one, it is a conserve domain, and it is a make it as a microclimate. That is the ultimate aim of galling life cycle. Okay, among the ecosystem complex of the forest, the ecology of plant galls are unique and accelerating because of each gall insect. It is specific to specific host species. And then the chemical ecology, it related to the host plants, and it is selected for the particular host plants in the name of pheromones chemical signaling. The exomorphic profile as well as the internal architecture of the galls are highly specific in relation to the insect species. Here you can see the some of the diagrammatic analysis of to understand easy how the galls are classified into different groups. The first one, the histogenetic pattern during ontogeny of different morphological categories of laminar galls. Here you can see the normal leaf. When it touches the insect or egg, it is slowly penetrate to the inner side of the leaf. Here you can see the small curvature on the lower surface. This is the first category, and then it is classified into 3 different groups. So it will produce the upper layer, that is called it as a cavity, then it is called it as pouch gall. If it is the lower layer produces a covering growth, then it is called it as a covering gall. Another thing, both the side upper and lower, it will produce both pouch gall as well as covering gall, then it is called it as covering pouch gall. It is always dependent on the insect population, which species it is feeding on the plant galls. Next category, it is in the outside impulsion, whereas in the next category, inside impulsion. When it penetrates to the inside of the plant material, then it is divided into again 3 categories. The first one, both the sides swells, then it is called it as oaken gall. One side is bulged, the remaining side it is normal, then it is called it as Kammar gall. Here one side bulge, automatically it will produce a stalk, then it is called it as a mark gall. So now you understand, based on the structure and size of the gall, it will call it as different types of galls. Okay, it is purely dependent on insect feeding behavior. Plant organs. So the galls, it is produced in different organ. It may be root, or it may be shoot, or it may be leaf, even the floral characters. So it is an idealized niche for the cystological insects, both to feed on and live in. This is the area I have surveyed for the plant galls, especially South India. Based on my survey, I have focused only the 26 galls on 23 host plants incited by 4 insect groups, 1 mite and 1 fungal pathogen for our reference. After the thorough evaluation, we have learned many things from the gall. The first one, larval position. So the gall, it is decided by the larval position and then cystogenetic responses. The second one, cystogenetic scenario, the highlight of the cystogenetic scenario, and it includes the morphogenesis and then histogenesis based on the feeding behavior of insects. And then we have collected the plants as well as the galls, and then comparative study of preliminary phytochemical analysis, both normal and galled portions, and then nutraceutical value of normal plant organs and galled regions. We get many information from the plant galls. These are all your reference. I have collected many plant galls. I have focused only some of the plant galls for your reference. Alangium salvifolium, Calicopteris floribunda, Canthium dicoccum, Erythrina varicata, Eucalyptus globulus, Ficus glomerata, Garuga pinnata, Danaya coromandelica, Morinda pubescens, Pistacia integrima, Curcus infectoria, Syzygium cumini, Terminalia arjuna, Ziziphus mauritiana. So these are all the plants I have focused for some of the reference for plant gall. These are all the new records. When we go for the survey, we have collected some of the newly reported gall. This is the first rhyme report. Aglaia elignoideae, Bombyx insigniae, Calicopteris floribunda, Glossina dentata, Heliocarpus, Ficus, and Mitragyna, Oryza sativa, that is a monocot, and Pelonia aeniana. These are all some of the newly recorded plant galls in my survey. Okay, so what is galls? So even though it is a pathological in nature, but some of the morphological characters, it is highly beautiful and inspiring and alluring. See here, even though the leaf character, it is a green color, but the gall, it will produce a pinkish in color. Here you can see the leaf character never produce the peridome, but here you can see the peridome midrib. And then here cottony outgrowths. So these are all the specific characters. It is designed by specific insect species. One of the example, Calicopteris floribunda. Here you can see the leaf, the normal leaf. Here you can see the leaf gall. The entire leaf, it is highly convoluted because of the presence of the larva or insects during the feeding habit. Here you can see the normal leaf. Okay, upper and lower palisade and spongy parenchyma, everything is normal. When compared to the gall, you can see the convoluted, highly it is wavy and convoluted. Within this convoluted area, you can see the larva and then larval cavity and larva. So this is highly convoluted. Here you can see the enlarged portion of the gall cavity. See here the gall cavity. Within the gall cavity, you can see the numerous larval population. The next one, Terminalia arjuna. Here you can see the peripheral leaf. It is slowly spirally curved, and within the curvature you can see the larva or insects, and then now the green color leaf, it is turned to red in color. It is because of the presence of the insect population. This is the normal leaf structure. When compared to the gall portion, you can see the enormous quantity of abundant of parenchymatous tissue, that is called it as gall tissue. And then vascular bundle, it is stretched in one particular corner. It is because of the presence of feeding habit of the particular insect. Here you can see the entire leaf, it is spirally twisted because of the presence of activities of the gall. Pouch gall. So this is the Ficus glomerata fig tree. Pouch gall, because it consists of the upper layer, that is adaxial layer. You can see the pouch, that is why it is called as a pouch gall. It is produced by Uropsella depressa. Here you can see the normal leaf. Here you can see the galled portion. In this tissues, the enormous quantities of parenchymatous tissue, that is called as nutri tissue, along with numerous dark stained bodies. This is called as tanniniferous cells. This is the insect producing the gall. Here you can see the larval cavity, and it will produce the ostiole. After the development of the insect, it will escape from the gall, that is called as larval chamber. The next one, quite interesting gall, Garuga pinnata. This particular plant, the gall produced by Phocoptera intellignosa Homopterian group. The first, at the stage of first, it is a green in color and it is highly twisted. After shedding, the color, it is modified into pinkish in color. Here you can see the normal leaf. Here you can see the galled portion. The central, you can see the large larval cavity with larva. Here you can see the escaping area, that is called as ostiole. At the entire structure, you can see the basal portion and then upper portion, capullar growth. So this is called as capullar growth. Here you can see the larva. Again you can see the upper layer and lower layer. Both the layer, you can see the gall cavity with the larva. So this is the specific structure. You cannot get the same structure in any other gall. That is why the gall, it is a very interesting to study the both plants and insects. The next one, Heliocarpus tectorius. This gall, it is produced by Cellid Homopterian group. The gall type is called as perforate and rostrate. Both adaxial and abaxial views, both the sides you can see the gall. So the upper side, it is somewhat elevated, whereas in the lower side you can see the elongated and big, quite big. After shedding, it will loses the green color only in the lamina. The remaining gall, it is maintained the green color because of the presence of larva. This is the normal structure of the leaf. Here you can see the gall, the TS of the gall. You can see the upper elevated portion, lower somewhat it is elongated and then beak-like structure. At the center you can see the gall cavity. Within the gall cavity, it is surrounded by nutritive zone. And then next to the nutritive zone, parenchymatous zone. So this parenchymatous zone and nutritive zone supplying the nutrition for the young larvae. The next one, Erythrina variegata. This particular plant produces both rachis, stem, even the leaf and then fruits. It will affected by insect and produce the gall. If it is a fruit, then it is called as a fruit gall. If it is a rachis, rachis gall. This is the normal fruit. Here you can see the rachis, it is a bulged portion because of the presence of insects. This is a normal flower, but here you can see the galled portion. It is produced by Quadriticus erythrinae. This is the internal organization of the both rachis as well as fruit gall. This is a normal leaf, and then this is the midrib portion. Here you can see the first formed gall, the initial stage of the gall, and then matured stage of the gall. Here you can see the gall cavity. This is the rachis, normal rachis, and this is the enlarged portion of the normal rachis. Here you can see the galled portion, many larval cavity. At the center you can see the larval cavity with the insects. After the maturation, it will escape from the surrounding gall, ostiole. And then this is the fruit gall. This is fruit gall. It consists of many chambers, and then the structure, it is highly damaged because of the presence of gall cavity. Aglaya helicnoidae, the another interesting gall. You can see the normal leaf. The leaf, it will produce the peridum. Usually the leaf carotid is not a peridum, but due to the presence of insect, it will produce the peridum structure. It may be spherical in structure, or it may be a single moniliform, or it is agglomerate. This is the normal structure of the leaf. The leaf, it consists of crystal. Here you can see the prominent crystals. This is the gall, TS of the gall. You can see the covering growth. So now it is the center, you can see the laurel cavity, nutritive tissue, and then vascular bundle, it is far away from the periphery. So it is because of the insect feeding habit. The next one, Calyptopteris floribunda. This particular gall, it is produced by Diptera, Cissidomyidae groups. Usually the gall, it occurs only in the lower side of the leaf, because upper side it is exposed to the sunlight. That is why it avoids the sunlight. That is why it is harboring on the lower side. This is the gall. You can see the enlarged portion of the gall. This is the normal leaf, and then you can see the larval cavity. The next one, Canthium dicoccum. The Canthium dicoccum, it will produce a petiole gall. So the petiole, at the time of galling, it will produce bifurcation, and it looks like a spindle. It looks like a spindle. This is a normal structure of the petiole. Here you can see the gall cavity, larval cavity, and surrounded by nutritive tissue. So always it is surrounded by nutritive tissue, because these nutritive tissue, it is helpful for the growth of the larva. Here you can see the tanniniferous cells, the black color spot, it is called as a tanniniferous cells. This is the enlarged view. Here you can see the entire view. The next gall, it is newly identified, and first time it is reported, Classina dentata. It is a Cissidomyidae Diptera group. This is a normal structure of the leaf. You can see the secretory canals. Here you can see the gall cavity, and then it is a covering gall, CG covering gall, and then larval cavity. It is a enlarged portion, and then secretory canals. Next one, Eucalyptus globulus, and it is produced by Diptera. This particular gall, you can see the rachis. This is, it may be at the young stage, it is a pale red in color. At its mature, it will yellow in color, and it leaves the ostiole. So the ostiole, that means this particular gall, it is escaped from the insect. Here you can see the normal leaf, and here you can see the gall portion. The next one, the Ficus benjamina. This particular plant, it will produce the midge gall. At the outside, you can see it is looks like a fruit-like structure. It is not a fruit, it is a gall. And then here you can see the normal stem structure. Here you can see the gall portion. This is a normal, of the way it is a normal stem structure. The one of the portion of the stem, it will produce numerous bristles. It is because of the presence of insects. The bristles, it is called it as furry gall. Bombyx insigne. This particular gall, it is produced by weevil. Here you can see the petiole. At the petiole, you can see the both the side, it is swellings. So it is a gall. This is called it as a rachis gall. Here you can see the normal structure of the petiole. Here you can see the larval cavity, and then numerous spores. Next one, Pelonia aeniana. This particular plant, it will produce 3 types of galls in the same plant. Here you can see the small patches of the gall and then large outer growth. So gall number 1 and gall number 2, it is newly reported gall. The normal structure as usual palisade and spongy, whereas in the gall portion you can see the central cavity with a larva and it is surrounded by nuclear membrane. The next one, Metrogyna parviflora. Again, it is produced by Diptera. Apex, at the apex, you can see that red color bulged portion. So this is called as a gall. Here you can see the sectional view. So at the center, you can see the many larval cavity with the larva and surrounded by the sclerotic zone. The next category of the same plant, that is Pelonia aeniana, it is also a new report, and Diptera, it is produced in Diptera. Here you can see the petiole and stem, it is occupied by the same gall. So this is the gall number 3. Here you can see the cross-sectional view, gall and larval chamber. Here you can see the stem, it is the exit hole. Here you can see the exit hole, and then center you can see the cavity. Next one, Syzygium cumini. This particular plant, again it is produced by Diptera. The stem, it is very hard woody structure. This is called as a gall. This is a normal structure. Here you can see the galled portion. The galled portion, you can see the central large cavity and surrounded by numerous nutritional structure. Here you can see the secretory canals. So it is specific to this particular plant. And this section, it is, we are using toluidine, we are using this one, it is a toluidine blue, and then it is tanniniferous stain. Next one, Alangium salvifolium. So this particular plant, it will produce the leaf galls. This gall, it is produced by mites. The mites call it as Eriophis alangiae. So the gall, it is always somewhat, it is outer growth. This is the normal leaf. Here you can see the sectional view. So mostly the gall produces numerous trichomes. So it is entirely different from the normal trichomes. Here you can see the trichomes. Within the trichomes you can see the numerous mites. And it is the section, it is made by rotary microtome as usual procedure, and then we can use the tannic acid ferrichloride stain. The next one, Ziziphus mauritiana. So Ziziphus mauritiana, this particular plant, it will produce numerous galls on the stem, sometimes rarely in the leaf. Here you can see the red colored gall. This is also, it is produced by mites. So here you can see the mites, some of the mites, dermal stem. Here you can see the enlarged portion of the gall. So the gall, it will produce lateral derivatives and apical derivatives. These two, it is divide and redivide meristematic cells and will produce continuous agglomerated gall. Here you can see the outer portion. Here you can see the inner portion. Inner portion you can see the mites. Next one, Lanaya coromantalica. This particular plant, it will produce Odena diplosis odenae. Again, it is a dipterian group. The gall, it is a peridum, outer peridum. Inner peridum, you can see the gall cavity. This is the normal structure. Here you can see the gall structure. Here you can see the channel. This way, after the development of the insect, it will escape from the plant. Only one monocot so far we have identified in my survey, that is Oryza sativa rice, ordinary rice, the rice seeds. So Oryza sativa, the fungal gall, that is called as Ascomyces groups, it will produce the numerous food grains. It will produce the yellow color gall. After the maturation, it turns to brown color. If it is young stage, you can utilize as a edible fruit. If it is matured, you cannot use this particular seeds, because after maturation it will produce the fungal spores. It is very difficult to eat. That is why at the young stage, orange color, you can utilize as the edible food. This is the structural. This is the structure. You can see the many spores. Here you can see the structure. The gall, it consists of numerous larval chamber. Within the larval chamber, fungal mycelium is present. Many interesting galls in my survey. The one among the survey, that is Acacia caesea. So in our exploration, many acacia plant is present. Almost acacia plants it's very difficult to identify because many species are available in the forest. Due to the presence of due to presence of the gall, you can easily identify one particular species. Like for example, Acacia caesea. This particular plant it will produce Isidomydian group. At the lower, that is abaxial side, you can see the numerous hair-like structure. This is called it as a furry growth. So this furry growth, it is one of the identification features of identifying Acacia caesea species. Here you can see the central larval cavity and then surrounded by nutritional tissues, nutritional zone, and then you can see the numerous elongated bristle-like structure. Next, the category Acacia catechu. The next same Acacia genus produces the different types of gall. Here you can see the purple color. This particular gall is called as cup and saucer because you can see the upper layer and lower layer. It looks like a cup and saucer. That is why it is called as a cup and saucer gall. These two leaflets, the adjacent leaflet themselves, it is modified and produce a gall. Within this gall, you can see the larval cavity. So this is the insect. After maturation, you can see the insect. This particular diptera is called as Lopopteromia bivalvae. So because of the presence of two valves, so it is attached to valve, that's why it is called as bivalvae. So based on this structure, based on this gall, you can identify this particular plant is Acacia catechu. You can never come across this type of gall in any other plant species. That is why plant gall, it is one of the tool to identify plant species. The next one, Acacia ferruginea. See here the many genus is having the many galls, so you can easily identify the plants. Here you can see the gall, that is called it as hourglass glass. So it looks like hourglass, that is why it is called it as hourglass glass. Acacia ferruginea. This is a sectional view, upper layer and lower layer. It is produced by Lopopteromia ramachandrani. This is the insect. After the development of the insect, it will escape from the gall. The next category, Acacia ferruginea. Previous one and this one entirely different. This particular gall, it is produced by Lopopteromia, another insects. It looks like a piston and rod gall. It looks like a piston and rod. The two adjacent leaves themselves attached and it will produce it looks like a piston and rod gall. That is why it is called it as piston and rod gall. The gall, it is always in the lower surface because the upper surface is exposed to the sunlight. It will avoid the sunlight. That is why it will prefer only the lower surface. So some of the galls, it is quite interesting because some of the galls automatically, naturally, it will eradicate some of the weeds in our nature. For example, this is these galls are used as biological control. Like for example, Parthenium, it is one of the weed. This particular plant, it is destroyed by Epiblema strenua and Controcula apiculus. These two insects, it will produce a galls and it will spoil the entire weeds. Lantana, it is also again the weed. So this particular weed, again it will produce many galls as Spondylia lantanae. This particular plant completely eradicate from these insects. And then Coccinea grandis, it is also a weed, and this plant, it will produce the gall by Actopius burcatomis. This particular insect produce the gall. Again, it is a weed. Eupatorium adenophorum, this particular plant, it is abundantly present in Ooty. So this particular plant, it is entirely eradicated from the Ooty because of the presence of gall. So even though it is a pathological nature, it is useful to eradicate some of the weed. Okay, some of the economic aspects of the galls. In our Indian system of medicine, traditionally we are using some of the gall. Knowing or unknowingly, we are using some of the galls as a medicine. Like for example, Pistacia integrima, commonly called it as Carcada stringi. This is a useful medicine in Ayurvedic formulation. The next one, Terminalia chibula, aritaki. It is used for Siddha formulation. Curcus infectoria majupal. This is also a nut gall. It is traditionally used as a medicine. And then Ziziphus mauritiana, commonly called it as a pear. This is also, it is used in some of the local level tribals. And then Morinda pubescens. This is also, it is very much useful Siddha formulation in the name of noni extract. Some of the medicinal properties of the gall, these galls, it is present in our literature. Like for example, Pistacia integrima, Terminalia chibula, Curcus infectoria. And these galls, it is useful medicinally, as well as these plants, it will produce numerous galls. So these gall, it is useful for very economic as well as medicinal purposes. Here you can see the structure of the galls. Curcus infectoria, it is not a fruit, it is a gall. Here you can see the Terminalia chibula, myropolan. This particular plant, it will produce yellow color gall. This gall is called as a pouch gall. Here you can see the Ziziphus mauritiana pear. This particular plant produces a tuberculate gall. So this gall, it is produced by mites. Here you can see the Pistacia integrima. This is also a, this gall is also a useful in the Siddha medicine. So these four, it is used as a medicinal galls. Some of the galls, it is very much useful in our day-to-day life. Like for example, aquatic grasses, Caesania latifolia. This particular plant produces a gall by Astilago esculenta. This gall, it is unique flavor delicacy, vegetable in Taiwan, Korea and Manipur in India. This particular plant, it is used in Manipur in India. Wild reed, that is Narega porphyrocoma. This particular plant produces the fungal gall, call it as Stilago consumilis. This is also, it is very much useful in edible purposes. Rumex maritimus. This plant produces a gall by Astilago parlatoria. This is also a fungus and it is a edible gall, serve as a pellet food for Manipuri communities. These are all the literature survey. Phagomites australis. It is a edible fruit to be highly nutritive value. And then paddy grains infected by Astilago, swollen, brightly colored, pod-like gall. Just now I have shown the picture, that is a paddy fruits eaten by farmers in most of the Tamil Nadu. Next one, Ziziphus mauritiana. This is a sectional view. This is the stem gall. Here you can see the sectional view, the normal view, it's a mite. So the single mite, I have collected the single mite. Here you can see the Pistacia integrima. It is a horn shaped and very thick, and it is a curved petiole gall. This particular gall, it is occurs only in Himalayas. Here you can see the structural view. The outer normal peripheral layer and then surrounded by a cortical layer, and then here you can see the cavity, the secretory canals, and then here you can see the nearer to the cavity, you can see the again secretory canals. So these two canals, it is useful to give the some of the mucilaginous compounds. In the center you can see the gall cavity, so it is highly medicine in Siddha. This is a normal structural organization of the PTO. Next one, Curcus infectoria. So this Curcus infectoria, the gall produced by Cynipids, call it as Adleria gallotinentoriae. Here you can see the exit hole. After the maturation of the insect, it is escaped from this particular gall. Here you can see the normal, and then here you can see the galled portion, and this section, it is stained by toluidine blue, because toluidine blue, it will give 7 different colors. Here you can see the some of the dark stained bodies. These are all called as tanniniferous cells. Next one, Morinda pubescens. It is commonly called as noni. The noni extract, it is derived from usually Morinda tinctoria, Morinda citrifolia. But sometimes Morinda pubescens is also the same category, the same chemical composition. Here you can see the fruit-like structure. Actually, it is not a fruit. The fruit, it is produced by are infested by the insect, and now it is called it as a gall. It is not a real fruit, it is a fruit with a gall. Then only you can extract the noni extract. This particular gall, it is produced by Diptera. Here you can see the normal portion as well as the galled portion. Next one, specialization. So after the study of the plant galls, what are the highlight of the plant galls? Specialization. You can thoroughly understand the larval chamber in the gall, because the larval chamber, it will decide the development of the gall structure, and then number of larvae in the gall. So number of insect, it will depends upon the size of the gall. And then totipotency of the plant tissue, it is very much useful to produce the nutritive zone for the most of the insects. That is the very good phenomenon for exploring the cystidogenesis. And the nutritive tissue is one of the sink for all the metabolites for the insects. Hyperoxins levels of the gall tissues play a pivotal role in gall morphogenesis. The interaction between the plant and insect, it will produce the secondary metabolites. These secondary metabolites produce the structure, beautiful structure, that is called it as a gall. Chemical identity of calcium oxalate crystals. So usually the most of the galls, it consists of calcium oxalate crystal. What are the nature of calcium oxalate crystals? It is insoluble in acetic acid, caustic alkali, formalin, alcohol, but it is soluble only in hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, nitric acid. So this is the characteristic feature of crystal oxalate crystals. Most of the gall, it consists of calcium oxalate crystals. What is the role of actual calcium oxalate crystals in plant nutrition? The first one, so based on our literature, it is maintain the ionic equilibrium in cells. So in our literature survey, it is main concept is ionic equilibrium, and then it will remove the excess of toxic substances, and it is converted into oxalate into calcium oxalate. This is the second view. The third view, the calcium stress condition and the storage calcium reabsorbed for metabolic activities. These stored calcium oxalate crystals, it is useful for metabolic activities of the plant. Then finally, they render the plant organs unpalatable for foraging. So if it is excess amount of the calcium oxalate, it is unpalatable. That is, it is converted into some other chemical composition. If it is a need, the plant, it will absorb the calcium oxalate crystals. Here you can see the polarized light microscopic observation of the tissues. Erythrina variegata, Garuga pinnata, Eucalyptus, and then Quercus infectoria, Heliocarpus, and then Paulownia. Here you can see the polarized light microscope, many crystals present in most of the gall tissues. Next one, phytochemical analysis of the both normal and gall. Almost most of the galls, it is high level of alkaloids. Some of the galls, saponin is high. Some of the galls, flavonoids are high. But some of the galls, steroids are very high when compared to normal. Sometimes the gall and normal portions are same, and sometimes normal portion it is high, gall portion is very low. So these are all the evaluation: terpenoids, quinates, phenols, gall as well as normal. Here also you can see some plants, it's having more amount of terpenoids in gall, but less quantity of terpenoids in normal. But it is not a unique features, but it will vary in different plants and different compounds. So what is our conclusion? So the galls are nutritional sink to which compounds like starch, proteins, lipids, phenols, even gallic acids, tannins, alkaloids, even the crystals are irreversibly shunted that cannot be retrieved by the plants. Almost all the plant compounds, it is present in galls, it never retrieved to by plants. It is because of the development of the feeding habit of insects. Next one, the nutraceutical value. So now I compare the both normal and gall portion of the nutraceutical value, like for example carbohydrate, fat, protein, calcium. In our findings, the carbohydrate, it is very low in normal, very high in normal, and gall portion it is very low, but some of the gall it consists of high when compared to the normal. Even the fat, sometimes it is very high, especially the Ziziphus mauritiana, it is very high percentage. Even the protein, some of the galls it is very, some of the normal portion it is very high. Even the calcium is also the same category. And then magnesium, iron, sodium, potassium, it is also sometimes gall it will increase, sometimes normal portion it will increase. It depends upon the insect and it depends upon the plant organs. Phosphorus, zinc, heavy metals, everything it depends upon the sum of the galls and insects. Nutraceutical value, again the calorific value, vitamin B1, vitamin B2 and vitamin 6, everything it is somewhat it is vary in, sometimes in gall, sometimes in normal tissues. Vitamin B12, vitamin K, vitamin D3, vitamin E. Here also you can see some of the interesting factors. Sometimes normal and gall portion there is no points of vitamin B12. Sometimes the gall is having low level, normal portion is having high level. But sometimes rarely the ficus glomerata you can see the high level of vitamin E, the low level of vitamin E. And then niacinamide, folic acid, calcium, pantothenate. In niacinamide, especially the Ziziphus mauritiana, it is high percentage when compared to normal portion. This niacinamide, it is very useful to pellagra diseases. Most of the vegetarian we lacks the niacinamide, so we will take the gall portion of the Ziziphus mauritiana. Definitely we will compensate the lack of niacinamide. And then some of the gall it is very high in folic acid, some of the normal portion it is very high in folic acid. Economic utility. Based on our results, the phytochemical analysis and nutraceutical evaluation of the gall prompted to investigate the economic utility of the gall. The next one, the pigment. The bright pigment of the gall, it is useful to prepare the textile dye, and the trial was very grand success. Here you can see the certificate. The certificate it is given by the Kalakshetra Foundation, Kalankari unit. We have collected some of the normal portion as well as the galled portion, and we are using taking the extracting and using as a some of the dye. Our results is fruitful, and then it is a natural dye. The gall powder was soaked overnight in plain cold water, and then after 24 hours or 12 hours, next extracted and filtered in the next morning, and then it is poured into previously moderned with the myropolan of the cotton fibers. Now it is along with the extract, now it is changed into 4 different salts. Automatically we will get the different use. So this is the certificate is given by Kalakshetra Foundation. Now we got the natural dye, and it is certified by Kalakshetra Foundation. Industrial application of the gall. So the gall, based on our survey, the gall it is a natural dye, and it is a eco-friendly dye, and it is modern to produce different use. Even the modern myropolan, it is also one of the gall only. And the dye can be used in textile industries, most of the textile industries. These are our industrial application of the galls. Here you can see some of our findings. 4 different galls produced from the different insects. I have collected the galls, extracted and moderned with myropolan and immersed in the different cotton cloth, and you will get the different uses. It is from the gall, so it is a natural dye. So highlight of the gall. So the gall is an in vitro callus. It is a natural in vivo callus produced by 2 different biological entities, namely plants as well as insects. And this particular callus, it is produced without culture medium, without external growth hormones, even there is no air condition, without eye expanses. Gall is 10% a natural product, and gall owes to be the biotechnical that naturally endowed to the mite and insects. These are all the highlighting features of the gall. The gall, it is a natural phenomenon, and it is the specificity in specific host plant and specific insects. They never produce the same gall in some other plant and some other insects. The specific type of insect feeds on specific plant species only. The galls produced by the plants are also specific in form and structure. So the gall, it is a specific structure. You cannot get the same structure in some other plants. So these galls informations, when present, can be used as diagnostic characters of taxon, similar to the flowers and fruits. Plant identification. These plant galls are useful to identify the plants. Mainly, we are identifying the plants with the help of foliar and floral and fruit characters. In the absence of reproductive parts, we are very struggle to identify the plants. So these circumstances, we can use the plant galls as a source of identification of the plants. Need of the hour. The human race facing threats from dreadful ailments in nowadays. So needed wonder drugs to save the humanity from the threats. These medicine, it will derive from the galls. Plant galls are biochemical pool of many accelerating active compounds. If effectively tapped, the plant galls may prove to be a wonderful drugs to fight the several fatal diseases. And then plant galls will bring credential to Indian system of medicine, and it will possess tremendous export potentials in the international marketing. We are not very aware about the plant galls. What we understand, what we conclude based on our survey and study, the information, that is the gall information, it is helpful to the one way it is a edible part, and another way it is useful for medicine. Definitely we will contribute much of information to Indian pharmacopoeia. The conventional source of medicine formulation, it may be allopathic or ayurvedic, any other formulation. We are using only the plant sources. It may be leaf, or it may be shoot, or it may be root, or it may be bar, or it may be floral characters. But in our alternative source of raw drug, definitely we will develop from the galls. Here you can see the gall, some of the galls. These galls, it is produced in naturally environments. So these galls, it is highly potential to cure some of the disease. Ziziphus jujuba, it is one of the jujube tree, and it is commonly called it as well. This particular plant, it is cures almost all the parts, that is leaves, bark, seeds, even the fruits. Everything it is useful to the mankind. This particular picture I have taken from the Amritsar Golden Temple. It is treated as a Talavriksha. So this particular plant produces numerous gall on the stem. This particular stem gall, it is useful to cure some of the tumors on the surface of the human body. It is folklore claims. Here you can see the gall. This particular gall, it is highly medicinal value, and some of the local tribes, it is used for curing some of the skin allergy and tumors. Some of the obligate fungal pathogens also produce galls. Here you can see the Acacia leucofloya plant. This particular plant stem gall, it is a very huge and very hard. This particular plant produces gall by fungus. It is edible as well as medicinally valued. Next one, Karkada Shringi foliar gall. It is horn shaped and it is very hard, hollow cavity within the gall. This particular gall, it is produced by Decia adifecta, affect, and then medicinal uses, anti-diarrhea, anti-dysentery. This particular gall, it is traditionally useful in our mankind. Next one, pouch gall on the leaf of Terminalia gibula, myroplan, commonly called it as myroplan. This particular gall, it is useful for both medicine as well as this particular gall. It will produces yellow color dye, natural dye. This particular plant produces a gall by Dixothripis onerosus. Medicinal properties: alternate, astringent, dentifrice, purgative, and it is very good tonic. Next one, Garuga pinnata. It's a entire view of the Garuga pinnata. It is also highly medicinal and it will cure anti-dysenteric, anti-diarrhea. The traditional system of medicine, we are using some of the gall. Example, Quercus infectoria. This gall, it is produced by Cynipea tinctoria. Most of the botanists, it looks like fruit-like structure, but it is not an exact fruit. It is affected by the insect, then it is called it as a gall. And then it is useful for medicine from the 450 BC. In ancient literature, we are using many medicinal properties from this particular gall. Knowing or unknowingly, we are using traditionally. And it is useful for tannic acid, used in tanning and dyeing. And it is medicinally useful for astringent, antidote, and expectorant. The next one, noni extract. So the noni extract, it is developed from Morinda citrifolia. But sometimes the Morinda citrifolia, it is derived from Morinda pubescens. But this particular plant, it is available in foothills, whereas the citrifolia, it is available in higher elevation. This actually, it is not a fruit. The fruit, it is affected by, incited by the insect that is called it as fruit gall. This fruit gall, it is highly medicinal value. Based on my survey, this is our carry home message. Comprehensive phytochemical evaluation of the gall. So the gall, the phytochemically, it is useful, and then now we are studying the antimicrobial activity. Some of the galls are, it is very potential antimicrobial activities, and some of the galls, it is highly biological active principles. And now we have got the some of the natural dye, but it will improvise cost effective, eco-friendly technology for industrial application of the gall dye. At this juncture, I will quote the golden words of Hiram Laurie and Joseph Sibesilla in the year 1953. It is conceivable that someday we will develop galls that can be used not only as a food supplementary nutraceutics but also as complementary pharmaceuticals. This is my concluding remarks. I have collected some of the reference from my friend Dr. Raman sir. He has published one journal, that is in Uplington Popular Science Monthly 1898, quoted by Raman 2018. American photographer Wilson Snowflake Pentlis 1835-1931 Jerko Vernon words. He has given the word snowflake. So this is a snowflake. During this snowflake, it is very highly beautiful and it is very fascinating. So likewise, the sixness, here you can see the six phase, it is very beautiful. Even though it is a water and it is a snow, but it will give the beautiful ornamental architecture. So likewise, here you can see the gall, it is also, it is tremendous and beautiful and fascinating. Those who are involving this gall study, gall hunter, definitely they feel the beauty of the galls, admire the beauty of the galls. So this is my final conclusion. I thank my personal heartfelt thanks to the organizers, Dr. Devabra Das, head of the department, and then secretary, vice principal, and then goes head of the department, and all other well-wishers for giving the wonderful opportunity to share my ideas, views among the August gathering. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Gopi, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
your knowledge. Your presentation is as vivid as a live show. All participants enjoyed the session according to their writing in chat box. Your work angle is really new to me. You fabricate botany with entomology, that is societology. Really, it is fascinating. How small insects make interaction with so many different types of plants and control ecosystem. Galls are useful to industries, medicinal purposes as well as food. So for the beauty of nature according to your lecture, and this one type of interaction is really useful to human being. Oh, thank you, Gopi sir, again. Thank you for your valuable lecture and knowledgeable and overwhelming PPT. A beautiful PPT, really, sir. Very
Thank you, madam.
fascinating lecture.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much for your wondering words. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Hope we will get some paper from you
Hello.
for our journal also.
Please, madam. Definitely, I will give.
If,
Okay, madam. Okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, madam. But I have the many papers, madam.
Very good,
Definitely, I will
sir.
give, madam. Okay, madam.
Okay.
And
Yes, sir. So
Yes,
today, as today's two webinars at the same time, so we want to know question answer session. But participants, if you want to ask sir any question, then please give it in the feedback. So 5-minute break for next starting of next session, and in the next session, our resource person is Dr. Dulal Kumar De. Dr. Dulal Kumar De, sir, please 5-minute